This month, Harbr is keen to share actionable ways on how we can assist in building operational resilience across your data marketplace or mesh. First things first, it's best to establish the case for marketplace structuring, or in some cases, restructuring. Before embarking on this journey, it's important to first keep in mind that operational resilience isn't built overnight, but rather grows with your usage. With this in mind, there are 4 main objectives you can achieve by implementing operational resilience. First of all, you'll be able to reduce duplication and manual overhead across the data teams. Without a clear operating model or structured governance, you might find that your data teams are pulled into cycles of ad hoc requests, repetitive work, and manual process management. So by streamlining these workflows, you can reduce the operational labor and resource strain, essentially freeing up teams to focus on higher value tasks that contribute to your business's broader strategic outcomes. Secondly, you'll be able to increase trust, clarity, and accountability in the operations of your business. By establishing roles and processes, you'll be able to reduce risk and friction while strengthening the all-important accountability and trust across users, business units, partner organizations, or between yourselves and the customer. Thirdly, you'll be able to define and formalize platform operations to enable and champion the scaling of your data marketplace. So a marketplace that has those clear role definitions and layered governance controls provides the framework and groundwork for scalable data sharing and use. So you can shorten those approval cycles and enable self-service on the platform. Fourthly, do keep in mind that you should be building for marketplace growth, not complexity. So we've seen organizations in the past essentially try to implement every access control and every governance layer up front, essentially adding friction and slowing adoption. Instead, your governance should evolve with the platform maturity and first focus on the essentials, such as roles, and then scaling up as you go. Let's touch on one mechanism, the operating models. First of all, it's best to establish your mental model. So before you define any of your organizations in Harbr or put pen to paper and document your operating models, we would first recommend to outline a structure that aligns with your mental model of how users are organized inside your company at present. So we've listed on screen some questions to ask, but I'd suggest that you take a pause of this video so you can work through this yourself. These are some examples of some operating models. I'll let you pause here so you can have a look, but you'll see that across the isolated, open, and hybrid model, they're ideal for different use cases. Let's move on to some of those business logics that you can use to structure your marketplace against. First things first being role-based segregation, which is a really common mechanism that we see be really successful across our customers. A second option might be by skill segmentation, where you can optimize this access and collaboration by segmenting users based on their skills and roles. So we now have 2 more options which you might find useful. For instance, you might wish to maximize efficiency and user adoption by reflecting the actual structure of your organization onto the platform. So this can ensure that your users operate within familial hierarchies, approval workflows, and access controls, and in turn reduce friction and improve collaboration. You may also wish to streamline user management and authentication by integrating Harbr with your existing IDP. So for instance, we have customers that use Microsoft Entra, Okta, or otherwise. You can map your existing IDP groups directly to Harbr organizations to govern onboarding, offboarding, and role transitions. Now let's move on to a more granular control that we have on Harbr, being that of user roles and personas. We'll fly through this, you're welcome to pause, but I know that you're probably all familiar with user roles. But essentially, a single user may behave as multiple personas on your platform. We thought it might be useful to map some of these user roles that are typically associated with personas. We're super happy to discuss if necessary and get those roles sorted for you. But at this point in time, it might be a great idea to try and map your current governance model. So in doing so, consider where does friction occur most. I want to share this with the team. Once you've done that, we thought we'd just round off some of the common pitfalls that we've seen when customers are looking to build operational resilience, implement different operating models and user roles, as well as what this looks like in practice and how we tend to solve them. An example of this is over-engineering from day one. So for instance, a financial services customer in a very hypothetical situation introduced 15 approval steps before launch, essentially slowing onboarding and frustrating early users. So at this point, we would really triumph the importance of establishing the essential controls first, for instance, organizations, user roles, and then scaling those governance layers as adoption increases across the platform. We would also recommend to streamline role-based permissions across the workflows to ensure accountability and consistent enforcement. So similarly, we can talk about the lack of role clarity, where we'd really stress the importance of using structured role definitions. For instance, as previously discussed, you've got those product creators where they can just create, which can remain and should remain distinct from product administrator roles who are responsible for publishing. So this creates those clearer lines of responsibility and accountability. This in turn also goes to reduce manual approval bottlenecks. So you can empower trusted producers with automated workflows underpinned by group access policies or pre-approved templates to reduce manual dependencies, or you might have a product administrator who has the role and the responsibility of reviewing products and publishing them, which is kept separate from those product creators who are busy creating some really great data products. And fourthly, you've got organization setup limiting control. So problematic is an example where a large enterprise might have onboarded all of their users into one organization on the Harbr platform. So this makes it nearly impossible to segment visibility or apply differentiated governance rules across teams, for instance, across risk and finance. So we would recommend that you create separate organizations for distinct teams or business units, and this allows you to leverage the benefits of our organization type model, so those rules of interaction, and essentially allow granular visibility of products and targeted governance across user groups. Finally, to finish off this session, here's an example story of a marketplace restructuring which was really successful and yielded the benefits of operational resilience. So you can see in the first 6 months, we had Data Inc. in their marketplace. They had 2 customers in the same organization type, as well as an organization of their own internal teams. So they had some operators and producers in there, as well as consumers in those 2 different customer organizations. However, over the first year, they onboarded partners as well to join their internal teams and customers on the marketplace. So this looked at a new organization type coming on. For instance, while the 2 customers were unable to see or interact with each other, a new org type entered the platform, whereby the customer could see the partner organizations who had producers within them, as well as consumer roles, as well as those internal teams now split out into different organizations. So an admin, a sales, and a product. So you can see how as the platform grew and matured and a new use case with that of partners for the marketplace emerged, so did the operating model change. And then new organization types entered the field in order to create a more streamlined and secure environment for data sharing. So with this all in mind, we would encourage you to re-examine your roles and the operating models that you have at present across your platform. And then it would be a really great idea to set up a session with us to discuss and implement a design, operating model, user role structure that is optimal for your data marketplace and business needs. Thanks all.